Isobaric process, tandaan nyo gagamitin lang to kapag yung keyword is either constant pressure, pressure remains constant, isobaric expansion, or isobaric compression. Isobaric process diagram, we have PV diagram and TS diagram. For the PV diagram, we have the point 1, so it is the initial state. So nandito yung P1 and B1. Then point 2, the final state, so nandito yung P2, B2. So as we can see, purely horizontal yung graph. So it means, yung P1 mo, parehas lang ng P2. Okay? While yung volume, siya lang yung nagbabago dito. So sabi natin, kapag yung pressure hindi nagbago, ibig sabihin, pressure is constant. So tama pa rin na it is under isobaric process. For the TS diagram, we have point 1. So nandito yung initial temperature and initial entropy. For the point 2, we have the final temperature and final entropy. Yung graph niya is an upward curve. So it means yung relationship ng temperature and entropy is directly proportional. So ano bang ibig sabihin nun? It means kapag tumaas si entropy, tataas si temperature. Or pag tumaas si temperature, tataas din si entropy. For isobaric process formulas, lagi tayo mag-start sa combined gas law. So PB over T equals C. And since pressure is constant pag isobaric process, so matatanggal na yan. Ang matitira, B over T equals C. Okay? So magiging B1 over T1 equivalent to B2 over T2. Then pwede natin pagsamahin yung volume and temperature. So magiging T2 over T1 equivalent to B2 over B1. For change in internal energy, we have mCV times T sub 2 minus T sub 1. For the change in enthalpy, we have mCP times T sub 2 minus T sub 1. So almost similar sila. Ang pinagkaiba lang is that sa change in internal energy, we have CV or yung constant volume specific heat. While sa change in enthalpy, we have CP or yung constant pressure specific heat. Then for the heat or Q, we have mCP T sub 2 minus T sub 1. So tandaan nyo pag isobaric, yung heat and change in the enthalpy parehas. Okay? For the non-flow work, we have P times B sub 2 minus B sub 1. So P to kasi nga constant pressure. Okay? For steady flow work, we have 0. For change in entropy, we have Q over T. So itong Q, pwede rin gamitin dyan yung change in enthalpy kasi nga parehas lang sila sa isobaric. So another formula for entropy, we have mCP ln of T sub 2 over T sub 1. Or pwede rin mCP ln of B sub 2 over B sub 1. So bakit naging volume yung temperature? Kasi nga sabi natin kanina, yung T sub 2 over T sub 1, parehas lang ng B sub 2 over B sub 1. For isobaric process units, we have English and metric system. Okay? So we have volume, temperature, internal energy, enthalpy, heat, work, and entropy. As we can see, pare-parehas ng kulay itong mga to kasi they have the same units. Okay? So for volume, sa English, we have cubic feet. Pag metric, we have cubic meter. For temperature, we have Rankine and Kelvin. For internal energy, we have BTU or yung British Thermal Unit or pwede ring foot-pound force. For metric, we have joules or kilojoules. Tandaan nyo, pag joules, equivalent lang yan sa Newton meter. Pag kilojoules, kilonewton meter naman. So for the enthalpy, ganun ulit, BTU or foot-pound force. For metric, we have joules or kilojoules. Sa heat, ganun din, BTU or foot-pound force. For metric, we have joules or kilojoules. Then for work, either non-flow work or steady flow work, we have BTU or foot-pound force. For metric, we have joules or kilojoules. Then sa entropy, we have BTU per degree Rankine. For metric, we have joules per Kelvin.